I think we are, but let's wait a little bit. Oh, yeah. Okay. It seems to be working right now. I think it is. So, okay. Okay. Let's see. Is it working then? Oh, that's great. Wonderful. Wonderful. Um, okay. What did you think of my Sandro Tonali video? We're only 40 people. Yeah, I'll try to launch the video in the live so we discuss about it together. And I'm gonna, go beyond the pure objective analysis and try to share a little bit of my own opinion on this. So let's go. Okay, find the video. Okay, hopefully the whole video is launched right now. So, um, okay, all right. So yeah, yeah, Tony says, I found it fascinating you were drawn to such a player on a team like Brescia. Well, the thing is with Tonali, there was definitely some sort of hype around him when he was playing as a very, very young player. I remember people talking about him when he was, 15 or 16. He was already playing with the Italian team, but obviously the youth category. And I remember, all the hype about like him being the new Regista, Pirlo kind of player, and of course the haircut was no stranger to that comparison because obviously he was not the only Regista, young player playing for an Italian club. So yeah, that definitely caught my attention, and I remember since 2016 or something, I would follow him on a regular basis, watching a few videos here and there. And I remember very well last season on Twitter, I had an Italian sub, and he was regularly, we would talk to each other, and he was a massive fan of Sandro Tonali. Therefore, from that guy, I would see videos from him, and I also remember another video analyst, a French friend of mine. He would send me videos of him as well. So yeah, definitely I got interested in that player because I love Registas. I think he is very fascinating to watch. Like he's not Xabi Alonso or something, but I like creative players through their passing technique, and that's definitely the most interesting. Um, oh, sorry, I'm reading a comment. Yeah, what do you think of the sound quality? I don't know. I don't really sound check before. I was too busy, trying to get this live working. So I'm not sure whether my sound quality is super great or not. So uh, yeah, hopefully through my live, some Italian subs are going to get access to the video because unfortunately it got blocked in Italy because of the footage. So although it's only 1 or 2% of my audience, I feel sorry for you guys. I was thinking of the whole Italian situation when I released this video, and I wanted to talk about an Italian player, but yeah. So yeah, Sandro Tonali. Let's go back to the analysis. The player we see right now this season in Syria, although he's playing in a very shit team or humble team, I'll try to keep it polite, a very weak and humble team, is showing very good abilities. A real personality on the field. He's always trying something difficult, trying to go forward, trying to be vertical. He's very interesting in that aspect. Although we would really, really need to see whether he can suit that position and fill the role in a bigger team where you need a little bit more than just pure risk and verticality, and you also need to be able to grab the game, by the scruff of the neck and being able to organize, to control the tempo, to dictate the tempo, uh, more in the style of Pirlo, really, because Pirlo, of course, I don't see Sandro Tonali reaching that level of play because Pirlo really was a generational player, an historical figure of the game. And I don't, maybe he will, but I'm not sure he displays the same abilities really. Although physically he is more interesting, he definitely is more powerful, explosive. He, he's got that fighting spirit to defend, even though he does not defend perfectly. A, it's not really a defensive player, but he can demonstrate some abilities here and there. So yeah, that's interesting. So um, I'm sorry, I'm reading a question right now. His main flaw, I'm asked. Main flaw. I was talking a bit about his personality and the way he is more of uh, a player providing verticality and risk and very, very useful, especially as I was writing down that video. I wrote that he was super useful in the, he's super useful in the offensive part, playing in the opponent's half really of the field. This is where I find them the more interesting because all the risk taking vertical dimension. This is really where it can thrive and demonstrate the best things because he's got the shooting long range. Although I didn't really show it in my video, he can shoot from distance. He can give the last pass. I see him um, recording a pretty good number of assists in the future when he'll be able to play in a better team. Um, so right now, all the key passes, assist thing comes mainly through double and set pieces, corner kicks, on open play. The day you have him in a better team, I think he'll definitely show some more abilities on open play. So that should be very interesting for him. So yeah, other flows. I think he lacks a bit of precision in his play. He is very good technically, of course, but the way he likes to be, uh, always playing long, always playing vertical, trying to. He's got a very good vision, I must say. In terms of decision making, I don't see him, taking wrong decisions, but he definitely lacks a bit of tactical sense in his own half of the pitch when it comes to organizing his own team, and not just only finding the dangerous pass. So that would be a first flow he needs to improve from a tactical point of view. And secondly, I think he needs to work a bit on his short play and short passing technique, uh, because right now, either because of a lack of technique or a lack, of concentration, maybe it's not something that he really likes to do, like in Italy, apart from a few teams, a few coaches, technical midfielders don't always demonstrate the tiki-taka abilities culture. That's why a player like Pirlo, for example, he was definitely more interesting like a quarterback playing long rather than playing a million passes in the center of the park. Although he definitely had the ability, it was not just it was just not really the way his teams would play, the way his personality would drive his own play. So, but in modern football, you probably need to be able to improve a bit the precision of your short passing, because of course he takes risk, and that explains the pretty low number of his passing. When you take a look at players like Marco Verratti, Toni Kroos, Fabinho, other registas, Pjanic, all those players are above 80% of pass completion, and sometimes even above 90%. Tonali, he is only like 78%, 75% or something, even maybe below 75% if I'm not mistaken. And that's really not enough, especially when you consider the way he plays on the short passing, because it's normal not being 100% accurate when you take risk and when you play in a team not really providing you the best conditions, to express your offensive abilities, because Brescia, again, really is a very weak side, but the way he lacks precision on the short side of thing really needs to be improved if he wants to make it in a bigger squad. And I'm not really, I'm not necessarily talking about Juventus or PSG or wherever the rumors would sending at the moment. But if he wants to play for Inter, for Roma, for Napoli, for Fiorentina, for I don't know a bigger squad, he will have to improve those both flaws, the tactical sense and the short play. Then off the ball, he'll have to improve defensively, but I'm not too worried. When you see his physical abilities, the way he likes, the fighting, the duel, he's a very sturdy boy. Despite he's only 19, of course, but physically he's pretty developed. So I think he'll be able to improve his defensive play as seasons go. How many games did I watch from him before making a judgment? So yeah, the video footage was based on 2, 3, or 4 games. I don't remember. Probably 3 games plus a few things here and there. But all in all, since he was 16, I think I watched more than 20 games from him, something like that, 20 or 25. So you should not believe that I base my own judgment only on the footage you see on the video. In general, I see many more games than that, but it's just that I don't have the resources in terms of video footage, in terms of time, to be able to, you know, edit all those games and bring footage from uh, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15 games. That's not something I can do, or maybe I could do it, but I would need to earn 1,000 euros per video, so that's not possible. So yeah, I base my judgment on more than 20 games, something like that. I'm going to answer the questions. Um, Tonali or Ascasiba. I'm not really an expert at analyzing Santiago Escasiba. I would need to watch more games from him and to study those games. Rewatching, editing a few videos, editing the footage. So I really have no opinion on this. His legs are massive. Yes, they are. So yeah, the pace you can lose sometimes when you're a bit, heavy on the footing. You definitely uh, you definitely take advantage of it in the duel when you kick the ball. So yeah, he's a sturdy boy, I must say. Um, Guys, do you have other questions on Tonali before we change subject a little bit? Does he show more control of play when he plays for a better team, like his national team? That's a very good question. Thanks, Tony. I'd say yes. Yes, he does. Not like he is not an expert, of course, but when he's playing for the national team and even in the youth category, where he'd be in a more dominant and comfortable position to play on the ball, for example, playing many, many more passes than the way he can do in Serie A, because right now in Serie A, he's only completing 40 passes per game. And, and not even completing, he's only playing 40 passes, which is very, very not a lot when you play in that position and when you have that technical profile. I want to see him playing in the team where he can play, 70, 80, 90, 100 passes. So really, we would see more from him. So with the national team, from what I saw, he's definitely not an expert at organizing play. I see him again more useful in the opponent's half, creating danger from a deeper position, but definitely being in a team where he can have the ball way more than what he is provided in Serie A at the moment, this is definitely more interesting to watch. Is he ready for the Premier League? I don't think so. I think he'll have to play 2 or 3 more seasons in Italy before, maybe going to another league. He might be playing for Spanish league though, for a Spanish team, where the resemblance is more clear. But at the moment, I don't see him playing the Premier League football really. Do you think he can improve his play by playing under better coaches, attacking coaches? Yeah, of course, of course. He's very young. He's got the room to improve, and not we don't even need to talk about Sarri or Pep Guardiola. Just with a better squad, playing in more comfortable conditions for him, you'll definitely see him improve. In an interview, he said that he was more like Gattuso than Pirlo style. Do you agree? Yes and no. I disagree because Gattuso was not a regista. As simple as that. He was, an all-round box-to-box midfielder. His main role on the field was to bring energy and to bring balance. I see Tonali bringing a bit of energy, especially on the defensive side of thing in midfield. In the middle of the park, really where you need to fight, to go for the challenge, to go for the duels. You can't hide really. I see him more in that respect. He is more of a Gattuso because of the fighting spirit and of even maybe the brutality and the aggressiveness he's got. But really on the ball, nothing comparable with Gattuso, I'm afraid, or just a few things here and there because he is really more like a Xabi Alonso or an Andrea Pirlo. Not that level, of course, but just the profile, the strength and weaknesses. Who's a player comparable to Tonali in the Premier League? Um, Maybe Granit Xhaka. Yeah, definitely. Granit Xhaka would be the first name coming to my mind because uh, he is exquisite in the passing. Um, especially to provide the verticality. to kick the set pieces and the dead balls, to play long, and to take risks on the ball. It's a bit of the same thing with Granit Xhaka. He is not a perfect organizer of play. He doesn't show his best abilities on short play at all, and I insist, really not. He is really more like Granit Xhaka in the Premier League. Playing like a regista or a deep lying playmaker, as we say in English, and then he can distribute from that position and create danger, basically. I'd say, okay. Scaladroman says I'd say is a lot like Busquets. No, nothing comparable. He plays in the same position, and they have that profile of being more interesting with the passing than anything else. But in the way they organize play, in the way you, in yeah, really in the tactical and technical abilities and the strengths and weaknesses, nothing comparable to Busquets. And same thing for Fernandinho, nothing comparable. Those two players, Busquets and Fernandinho, really key players with the Guardiola style of football thing. Uh, they really shine by the tactical balance, and they're like the masters of the game on the field, like the mastermind. Tonali right now, he is not playing like that at all. He is playing more like again, someone who can provide interesting situations in terms of offensive production and danger created on the field. Um, a question in French I'm going to translate for you. Do you see him in the top club for next season, like top 8 in Europe? No, not at all. I don't think he's got the quality to be able to, to absorb the gap between playing in the worst team in Serie A, despite being a good player, and playing in a top club. And I think when you say top 8, easy. Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, City, Barcelona, Liverpool, PSG, Atletico Madrid, and Juventus. Maybe in Juventus he could be a substitute for Pjanic, but nothing more. And I think it would be definitely too early for him. I see him more in Inter Milan, AC Milan, Roma, Napoli, definitely. Do you think Tonali has some attributes for Mezzala, so number 8 position, with his dribbling and key passes, uh, hybrid profile? No, well, first of all, in terms, you've got to consider the tactical profile more than the statistics. Statistics basically mean nothing, really. Um, Although for the dribbling part, I must say I would agree in some ways because he can carry the ball forward. He can dribble past players. Not He's not an expert, but I've seen him do it rarely, but he can definitely do it. So um, all yes, he's got some dribbling abilities, but I don't see him, in a position to receive the ball between the lines and play like Andres Iniesta or that good number 8 players. I don't see him do that at all. I think he's way more comfortable playing in double pivot or as holding midfielder. So no, really, in terms of position and tactical profile, this is clearly not where I see him, delivering his best football. And in terms of key passes, you got to remember that most key passes he delivers at the moment come from set pieces and dead balls, so nothing to see with the position. Casper says his problem is that he's got the style to play in the top 10, but he lacks the quality. That's a question, by the way. I don't know. Future will tell because he's so young at the moment. It's hard to say what kind of player is going to be in 2, 3, 4 seasons. Because obviously at the moment he shows some very interesting qualities, weaknesses as well, and he has not proven he can play for a top level yet. but you need to see how he evolves. Hopefully, in the future, he will, gain some precision in his play, be a little bit less chaotic than what he is at the moment. But those things come with time, really. So you got to you I don't know, it's hard to tell. Basically, you want me to predict the future, and my opinion is that he needs time. um, the level of chaos he's got right now in his play, I think this is not something that's going to improve or disappear, or to be a bit more suitable for a top team in a matter of months. That's a matter of seasons, in my opinion. So I see him going in a bigger club for next season, and from then on improve uh, over 2 or 3 seasons. That's my opinion. But again, I'm definitely unable to predict the future. Otherwise, I would bet all the time. Um, hmm. Sounds like he would need. That's a comment I'm reading right now. Sounds like he would need an exceptional coach to get the tactical intelligence down. Yeah, but I don't know. It's hard to tell really because uh, some great coaches were unable to work with certain players because of the lack of tactical intelligence and culture they would have. So yeah, but definitely in terms of progression, he needs to be with better coaches. Um, can I do a Kovacic video? Maybe someday. I'm not really watching Chelsea this season, unfortunately. What position do I see fitting in best? I already answered, but for new people coming, holding midfielder or in a double pivot. What price would he worth from your opinion? From my point of view, he is worth something like 25 million euros at the moment. Hardly more than that. He's probably going to be sold at a higher price because the hype around him, all of this is increasing the prices really. Let's say that if he goes to a club like PSG or Atletico Madrid or a club like that, a bigger club from another country, he is probably going to be bought at a 40 million price or something. But if he remains within the borders of Italy, I see him, leaving for 30 million or something like that. Casper says, thanks, very good analysis. I agree. Thank you, Casper. Thanks a lot. Mr. Exposer says, I think Brescia wants 50 million for him. That would be way too much. You got to remember that prices in Italy, it's not like the Premier League level or something. Remember that in 2016 it was, or 17, I'm not sure. Um, Anyways, when Pjanic was signed by Juventus from Roma, world class player, able to play, the number 8 and register position, he was bought for 30 million. So 50 for Tonali would be a robbery. Do I like the Italian league? Yes, I do. Of course. It's one of my favorite league actually. And I'm this season I've been following pretty closely Inter Milan and Juventus. So and I know I need to make a video on Antonio Conte's work at Inter Milan, but I didn't find the time yet. This is coming though, definitely next week's. What country am I from? I am French. I am from Paris, and my favorite club is PSG. For those who don't know yet. Oh, good question in English. In French, I'm going to translate for you. Um, can Tonali provide forward running on and off the ball. He off the ball, not really. I'm afraid that's not something he does because he's playing from a deeper position. Although I've seen him do it, but very very rarely. It's more like a YouTube highlight thing rather than a part of his play. But on the ball, I see him rushing forward regularly on transition because this is where you can exploit the space, win meters, and he's got the ability to do it physically and technically. Although when he's carrying the ball, I don't see a remarkable level of precision. It's pretty common, pretty average what he does. Will I make a PSG Dortmund analysis? No, I won't. I won't really have time for it, and it's a very simple game to analyze. PSG, switching system, scoring early, Dortmund defending their advance at the beginning of the game, and when Dortmund needed to score to avoid being eliminated, knocked out, PSG defended low, and that's pretty much it. Who's better for Arsenal, Didi or Partey? Partey by far, just because he's a better player. Guys, just a small reminder, as I think we're more or less done with Sandro Tonali. You can support the channel on my Patreon. You can find the link first thing in the description. And if you want to take part in my live tactical masterclass, feel free to send me an email. That's in the description as well. Oh, more interesting questions. We're not done with Sandro Tonali yet. Does Tonali fit the Italian national team? Yes, he does, because they don't have a very high number of Regustas at the moment. Marco Verratti can play in that position, but I think he is more interesting playing like a mezzala, as they say in Italian. You've got Jorginho, of course, but it's a completely, not completely, but it's a different kind of player. Jorginho relies more on his ability to control the tempo and to play short passes, a bit in the style of Sergio Busquets, rather than playing long like a quarterback and providing the team with dangerous situations the way Tonali does. So I would see Tonali as a replacement, a natural substitute for Jorginho. Yeah. How do I rate the defensive side of this game? I'm not sure. I think the way he can fight in midfield, pressing, winning duels is pretty interesting. Although he definitely lacks of technique. In the way he tackles, in the way he uses his body, his legs. You can see he's not a defensive expert. He's probably never going to be Casemiro or that kind of player. But in the middle of the park in midfield and like in the middle third, really, I see him doing great things or interesting things, and I like the way he's not afraid of going for to get involved in tough challenges and things like that. Although when you need to defend closer to your box, I think he definitely lacks the defensive culture. He's not super comfortable defending deep. I don't see him providing his best defensive abilities here. And also, there's a question of volume. That's saying when the team needs to defend low for a pretty long sequence, you can see he is tired and a bit, out of focus after a moment. He's definitely losing a bit of concentration and uh, precision after a while defending. And with that comes with the defensive mistakes. So yeah, that's a problem. All right. Another question. Are Tonali, Berratti, and Jorginho compatible? So I think he meant on the field. Uh, those three together, no, I think it's too redundant. You need other profiles like Barella or those players. I think that's it for Tonali. So if you've got questions on different subjects, please make sure to ask. And I don't see many likes. Please, guys, make sure you like the video if you to like the live. I'm sorry if you enjoy it. Would I sell Griezmann if I were Barcelona? No, I would not sell him. If I were Barcelona, I would try to have him play in more suitable conditions. But if I were Griezmann, I would leave the club because clearly I don't see the football he plays and the way Barcelona play right now. You can't get 100% from the player. So if I were Griezmann, I would go back to Atletico or something like that. I would change. My thoughts on Eduardo Camavinga. He is a very impressive player. He is so mature. I think he's only 17 years old, playing for Rennes at the moment in the French league. But yeah, the level of precision and maturity he demonstrates is out of this world. You don't see uh, trying to do fancy stuff technically. He doesn't try, impossible passes. He's not, the best dribbler out there, but the way he can control the midfield and even boss the midfield is something absolutely impressive. So I really want to see him playing in a better team. Although Rennes is a good team at the moment for in the French league. Um, should Chelsea buy Jeremy Bolga from Sassuolo? I never studied this play, so I've got no opinion on that. Do I think Griezmann will benefit once Messi doesn't play a lot anymore? That time will probably come in 2 or 3 seasons. So if I were Griezmann, I would not wait that long. Mbappe or Sancho? Easy, Mbappe, because he's just much better. As simple as that. Uh, Picking a question. Can Tonali be played as a centre back option? No, definitely not. That's off the table. What do I think of Ricardo Rodriguez, the left back, isn't it? He is a very interesting player. I think he always failed to lift his play to its maximum potential because the level of precision, calm, and technique he had in his play was very interesting because seriously, um, the I think he plays as a fullback, of course, but more in a playmaking midfield style, and not playing like a reconverted centre back or reconverted winger. And I like those profiles as fullback, and this is what Liverpool is doing at the moment with primarily what's his name, Alexander Arnold, and a little bit with Robertson as well, having playmaking fullbacks. I think that's the profile of Rodriguez, and that's really the future of the position, in my opinion. So something that was kickstarted, with Dani Alves and Marcelo. So yeah, that's a shame. He was never given the opportunity to play for a better team than Wolfsburg and AC Milan. What do I think of River Plate coach? He is an excellent coach, Marcelo Gallardo. Yeah, and the way he was able to constantly, renew himself and bring his teams to a very interesting level of football and very interesting level of performance in terms of results and titles. That's he is definitely ready to coach in Europe. He's my favorite regista. Easy, Pirlo, Sancho, Sane. I think Sane can do things Sancho cannot, but I also think Sancho he is better technically. Do I think Messi might shift to the Iniesta role? Not at all. And I actually think the current situation before football was stopped, where Messi, is playing more like a playmaker rather than a right winger or second striker or false line. I think this is not the right direction. This is what the team needs at the moment because the way they attack really is shit. But the um, the best role for Messi is definitely to be able to play closer to the box and to score goals. You got to remember Messi able to score 70, 80, 90 goals, sorry, in a year. And that's something you want for him. So, no, I would find another Iniesta and have Messi playing in his best position, not having Messi play like Iniesta because first he doesn't run enough. When you play in midfield or offensive midfielder, you need to run quite a bit, especially in today's football. And second thing, he is so good at scoring goals. You want to have him scoring goals. As simple as that. Do I think Solskjaer can bring United back to winning titles? No, I don't think so. Where are you from, Tobias? By the way, I think you're from Scandinavia. That's cool. Um, what do I think? Do I like Nicolo Barella? I love him. Since the moment he was linked to PSG at the time back then, to 1, 2, or 3 years in the past, I'm not sure. Back in the days, I studied his play, and I think the volume he's got, the ability to run, the ability to bring the balance, to bring a very very high level of intensity. He's an ideal player to be the engine in midfield for Antonio Conte. I think he will demonstrate that very soon with the national team as well, and I really like him. World's best striker at the moment, Lewandowski, by far. If making a video on Ricardo Rodriguez, no, I definitely don't have time for that. Favorite team in Argentina, Boca Junior, definitely. Um, Another question: am I a PSG fan? Yes, 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 of course. Why Hakim Misrou was so talented, and now he doesn't even play in Serie C because he's a shit player. He's a freestyle player, not a footballer. Football is different from skills. What do I think about Atletico shaking Liverpool? That's great. That's what Europe's made for, for exploits. If we never see exploits, we would be bored. So I was super glad Atletico Madrid was able to defeat Liverpool because first I prefer Simeone over Jurgen Klopp. I prefer Atletico Madrid over Liverpool, and I think in terms of football, being able to play that kind of football in Europe really is the way to bring diversity, and I like diversity in football. Um, Another question. My favorite team in Italy. That's a good question because I don't have a favorite team in Italy. I've got jerseys from Juventus, from AC Milan, from Roma. I like all big teams in Italy really have my sympathy, I must say. Not all the time, but I'm a big fan of Italian football, and I don't, I really don't have a favorite team, and I just like Italian football overall. Thoughts on Andres Villas-Boas at Marseille this season? I think he's just doing a good job. He's doing, something basic. The way Marseille play is really not complicated. It's very powerful in midfield, very aggressive. They try to not concede goals, of course, with a pretty basic and defensive brand of football. And offensively, they really rely on Dimitri Payet to be, the man providing the difference. And literally, he is bringing a shit team to the second position in the French league. So, good job. Who would have won the Champions League if it remained normal? PSG. Do I like the idea of Barella and Tonali in the same team? Yes, that would be great actually in terms of complementarity. So yeah, they would complement each other very well, and I think this is the way to go. You need a versatile profile in a especially in a three-man midfield. In a two-man midfield, a double pivot, it's easier to accommodate everything. But in a three-man midfield, you need certain profiles and various profiles. And the specific reason why Solskjaer cannot bring United back because he's a mediocre coach. As simple as that. Nothing in what he's done has proven to the football world, in my opinion, that he had the ability, to do any better than expected. And expectations are not very high at the moment with Manchester United. And I think his career right now has been saved by both PSG bottling home and Bruno Fernandes being a great player, and that's it. Opinion on Mourinho at Spurs. I just don't know what he's trying to do. I've got really, what does he want to do? Does he want to defend? Does he want to attack? Does he want to press? What players is he relying the most on really on the long term? Of course, he doesn't have Hurricane available to play, but that's not. It's more complicated to win games without Hurricane, but it should not be more complicated to show something clearer in the project, in the intentions, and in the performance, even without him. So I really don't know. I don't know what he wants to do. So maybe next season it'll be more interesting. Hopefully, best PSG coach QSI era, so Qatar era, Ancelotti by a mile. There's no debate. Do I watch Flamengo? No, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. I don't watch Brazilian football apart from a few games from Sao Paulo at the beginning of the season, and that's it. Is Tuchel the right coach for PSG? He is not a bad coach for PSG at all, but I think PSG could get better than that, especially with Allegri being free on the market. Do I want Pogba in PSG? Yes, I do. But any team should be wanting Pogba in their squad because he's a world class player, as simple as that. Although I don't like the way Pogba can be so irregular through a season. Do I watch German football when I need to professionally? Like, for example, I was watching many games from Dortmund this season because I wanted, to check on a few players, and as soon as it was decided Dortmund would play against PSG in the Champions League, I started watching 100% of their games and analyzing those games. But other than that, I might watch a few games here and there. For example, Leipzig, I watched 4 or 5 games, I think. I even worked on one of them, although I didn't make a video for YouTube, but I was working on it. And but yeah, apart from that, I'm not an expert at German football, really. Um, Thiago Motta or Paredes? Thiago Motta, by far. Thoughts on Arsenal? It's a shit club. Sorry, that's true. Oh, what do I think of Joao Felix? I think he's a right player on the ball for Atletico Madrid, but off the ball, things are more complicated for him. And it was predictable, unfortunately, because although Portuguese fans insulted me for that in my video analysis of Joao Felix, I said he's not the hardest working player on the field. And I predicted this would be a problem for him on that respect for Atletico Madrid, but really he needs more time. Maybe next season or in 2 seasons from now, he'll be more adapted, to the football brand Atletico Madrid play. Opinions on the work Sarri is doing at Juventus. Um, he is not playing Sarri football, but there's nothing to be, ashamed of. Ashamed of because this is, when you've watched Napoli and even Chelsea at times, everyone talks shit about the work Sarri did at Chelsea because it was boring, it was not Chelsea DNA, it was this or that. Well, you got to remember that team ended up third behind two historical teams, and they won Europa League with the B squad, so it was not catastrophic. But however, Mauricio Sarri, when you would see what he was able to do in Napoli and what he does right now in Juventus, this is disappointing. But there's nothing to be ashamed of. I think Allegri was a much better coach for for Juventus, though. Fitting the DNA way more, being able to defend better, and and I also think when you've got players like Rabiot, Betancourt, pretty horizontal and flat players, it's pretty difficult to play the tiki-taka positional play he wanted to put in place, probably. Is Julian Nagelsmann compatible for PSG? Not at all. He needs to stay in a club where he can, do his scientist experimentations quietly without, messing with the egos of superstars. Good question, although very simple question to answer. Lautaro or Timo Werner? Lautaro by a mile, really. In terms of profile, there's something. Yes, I see what you mean. I see the resemblance with, um, you know, um, how to put this. The way they play forward, they're more comfortable in a central position, and they provide a very high level of energy. True. But apart from that, providing the energy and the pace, I don't see Timo Werner doing such great things every time I see him play. Whereas Lautaro, he is definitely the next big thing. Yeah. Um, what do I think of Griezmann's role under Setien? Well, he does what Setien wants him to do, pinning the defensive line. And that's the only thing Griezmann does. People say, yeah, Griezmann, he's not playing that well. He's having mediocre games or even shit games. No, no, I just think he plays very high to pin the opposition. When he doesn't play high, he try to be a bit more alive between the lines. CTM seems very unhappy with it. So yeah, you can't expect too much from Griezmann playing in those conditions, really. Do I know? All right. Anyway, why is AC Milan struggling despite having a world-class squad? Um, I don't think they have a world-class squad, to be very honest with you. I think it's just some decent-ish players uh, playing with mediocre coaches, and the whole structure of the club right now, the mentality, the way it is run, and everything. It needs to be rethought in depth. Really, really, as simple as that. Please stop asking me questions about Arsenal. I really don't about this club. Seriously. Oh, what do I think of Luka Jovic? He was a good player in a league where basically any forward in shape can score more than 20 or 25 goals. As simple as that. So good player, but Real Madrid level, definitely not. Definitely not. And again, maybe in the future he'll improve and try to be a little bit more useful than he is for Real Madrid. But I don't think he's a world class. I don't think he's got the world class player DNA where a top club should invest on you. He probably not that kind of player. Do you think Zidane was restricting Hazard's role when he was fit? He was never fit for Real Madrid. I don't know what you're talking about. How many good years does Di Maria have left in him? Probably 2 seasons. That's what I think. Yeah. Is Liverpool another valued team? Not at all. They're probably the best team in the world for the last couple of seasons. So no, it's not overrated or overvalued. It's a great team. I'm not a big fan of the football they play, but definitely a great team. There's nothing questionable about that. Hmm. Most important traits of a central midfielder: passing and vision. That's the most important. Trying to grab another question. Nazim, t'es un bâtard. FC News, bien sûr, direct. Direct, direct. Attends, faut arrêter les conneries. Alright, sorry, back to English. Who would I take as a left back for PSG? I don't know. The problem with the fullbacks market at the moment is that there are only a few good players for uh, more and more numerous top teams. So who would be available? Of course, I would like Falamendi or Marcelo, someone like that. But who would be uh, realistic in the left back position for PSG? Let me think a second. I'm not sure. Maybe good question. I don't know. Yeah, you blocked me. You checkmated me. I don't know. Who would be realistically available for PSG in that position, no idea. Best role model for fullbacks. Um, he's not the best fullback, but the most complete might be Carvajal, defensively and offensively, because you will find more brilliant players in that position, like offensively Marcelo, of course, defensively Lucas Hernandez, players like that. But the most complete might be Dani Carvajal. Yeah. Should Guardiola leave City this summer? Yes, he should. He should. Yeah. Oh, Taliafico for PSG. Yeah, good. That's a good option. Although I don't think Bernat is, that much behind him in terms of level, especially in big games, because Juan Bernat is a big game player. Sorry, guys, I was just reviewing questions. I'm not sure what to answer. Opinion on Rooney? Easy, world class player, one of the best I've seen play. And this is my generation, so to say, because when I started really following and watching football regularly, this is the moment Rooney um, broke through in the Premier League. Hakimi is quite complete. No, no, I disagree. He tactically, in terms of decision making and defensively, he is super, super improvable. Saying he's weak. Oh, all right. I've seen a few questions on Ericsson, so I'm going to answer. Ericsson needs two things. He needs to get back in shape because right now, seriously, I only see the shadow of the player who was supposed to replace Modric at Real Madrid uh, 2 years ago or one year in the past. That's the first thing he needs. He needs to get back to the shape where not only he was brilliant technically, but he was able to run 12 kilometers in a game, with a top level of performance. Second thing he needs is he needs to be adapted, to get adapted to Antonio Conte's football. Fuck me, getting difficult. Which is not such an easy thing to do because Conte, he is giving precise missions and very precise roles to everyone on the field. And, a creative player like Ericsson, especially with that level of shape right now, he needs more time to get used to it and to start deliver. But for example, I think for this winter, of course, under the current circumstances, it's a bit, everything is on standby, true. But if I were Inter Milan, I would have gone for Rodrigo De Paul instead of Ericsson. I would have gone for Ericsson in the summer, maybe, because Rodrigo De Paul, he can play, with that a bit like not like a playmaker. Uh, don't get me wrong, but he can be creative, but mostly he brings such a high level of energy in his play, a bit like Barella, being all round vertical. In England, he would be a box to box typically. Um, so I think, given the state of Inter Milan before everything was suspended, a player like Rodrigo De Paul, he's playing it for Udinese right now, it would have been much useful way more useful than that than going for Ericsson. Premier League, Serie A, La Liga. La Liga is the best league with Premier League. Jordi Mukile, I don't really have an opinion on him. I never studied his play. I've seen a few games here and there, but I don't really have an opinion. Rajdeep, stop asking that fucking question. Should Conte change the system? No, no, the system is fine. That's not the system is not the problem. The problem is the team needs, a bit of freshness, a bit of physicality. Also, seriously, have a look at the number of games Inter Milan drew after opening the scoring. This has nothing to do with the system. This is how you manage games, how you control the tempo, how you defend, the level of maturity and experience. Um, so yeah, Inter Milan, they have the quality and their system on a good day, it's unstoppable. But they don't need to change the system. Or that's not what they needed before the suspension. They needed something closer to a bit of freshness physically and mentally. Yeah, mostly. What's my local league? French first division, guys. What I think of Aouchiche, he's a great player. He is going to play in a good team or great team in the future, but he won't make it for PSG, I'm afraid, because he plays in a position and a role where PSG is definitely going to have always, world class players, which Aouchiche is not at the moment. So I see him doing good, but not in PSG. Opinion on Frankie de Jong playing further forward between the lines this season. That's a shit idea. That's not his position. That's not where the team plays the best football. That's not how he plays his best football. So that's just nonsense, if you want my opinion. Um, who should PSG use in upcoming Champions League matches, Cavani or Riccardi? If PSG want to play intense and defensive football, or at least more defensive football, Cavani. If they want to play higher up the field, and create uh, more chances directly, from crosses or inside the box, Icardi. Very easy to say. But Icardi needs to get back in shape because he's very fat at the moment. Who will be next coach for PSG? My take is Allegri. What's the ideal formation for PSG? 4-4-2 or 4-2-2-2? Call it the way you want. Would I classify Bruno Fernandes as a world-class player yet? Not yet, but he is doing great. And what surprises me the most is not, of course, the level of quality he has it, he's got it, but the way he adapted so quickly. That was the most surprising for me. The most overrated player in my generation, well, this generation, I'd say Hazard is overrated. Can Holland save Madrid if he comes? Save, I don't know, but he would do great for Real Madrid, for sure. Do I see Libertadores? Rarely. I Over the last 2 seasons, I think you know, sorry, I was reading a comment at the same time. Yeah, Libertadores. I would watch some games, especially from Boca Junior, but apart from that, not really. Eden Hazard is overrated because he doesn't deliver in the Champions League. It's the queen of the competition. This is definitely where you expect players to perform, at their best level, and this is what top players do. Have a look at Ronaldo in the Champions League, Neymar in the Champions League, Mbappe in the Champions League, and then you have a look at Eden Hazard, his level of performance in the Champions League. Uh, Although he didn't play the competition every season, I know, but every time he played it, he never really delivered to the expectations. So, in my opinion, in that respect, he's an overrated player. Why Asian footballers are so behind in quality? Because Asian countries don't really have a football culture, as simple as that. Have a look at Portugal. They always bring and produce world class footballers, despite being a small 11 million people country. So it's just, you know, um, it's got to deal with the culture of the country. Tonali or Partey for PSG. Thomas Partey any day, any day. Way more ready, complete, versatile. I really like him. Should Real Madrid sack Zinedine Zidane? No, no, I think he is the man of the situation. Is Setien a good choice for Barca? Depends what you mean by good choice. Is good choice playing regular Barcelona football and win the Liga? Yes, maybe. Is he a good coach to win the Champions League? Probably not. I think he's a coach way too much in love with his ideas to show the ability to win big games in the Champions League. In my opinion, maybe I'll be proven wrong in the future. Do I see that French national team being the dominant force in international football for this new decade? Maybe we'll see. After going to the final of the Euro in 2016, winning the World Cup in 2018, you will have to wait another year for the Euro in 2021. But I'm given the level of quality of every individual in the team, I think France is still amongst the favorites, like the top three or four teams. Yeah. Have I seen Kosovo play? No, I don't think I ever saw them play. I'm sorry. How old am I? I'm 23. Votes on Esposito. I need to watch more of him. I think he's a very interesting player, but like what would be, his ceiling, his very very best abilities, best contact, best conditions. I would need to work on that. Is there a team that plays with three narrow centre forwards? Yes, Liverpool. How many are we live? 50 people. Oh, good question. I like this question. Do I think Robert Lewandowski is the closest player in profile to Van Basten? Yeah, there's something like that. Really, that's a very good comparison. They're not totally similar, but I can definitely see what you mean with that question. And yeah, that's cool. What do I do for a living? Analyzing football. All right, guys. Last question. I'll have to stop the live. I'll be busy on something else very soon. So thanks a lot for being here. It was super cool. Favorite sport? Football. I don't watch other sports really. Not my thing. I'm more of a football guy than a sports guy. Okay, last question is going to be about Real Madrid. Um, um, so yeah, the problem with Real Madrid, the problem with them is that they don't score goals. As soon as Benzema fails to deliver, and you know it can happen in the season. Benzema not being at his best, or going through a more difficult moment where he's just not coming in. Um, they need a goal scorer, someone like Mbappe, someone like Erling Haaland, because Eden Hazard, even when he's fit, he is not the best provider, in terms of goal scoring. Isco is not a goal scorer. Uh, Gareth Bale, he might have been, but clearly we can see, he's not very interested in football right now. So you can't really rely on him. Who else? Jovic, probably not Real Madrid quality. Uh, Same thing for what's his name again? Mariano, although he scored in the Clasico, he is not Real Madrid quality. So they need someone to score goals, and this is also why they failed to to beat Barca this season in La Liga, not to be ahead of them on the table. That's what I mean. Sorry, because although Barcelona are not playing super great football and there are many problems with that team, um, they, they score. Messi scores, Suarez scores, Griezmann scores, and they have a brand of football that is favorable to win smaller games. Whereas Real Madrid, it's a team more designed for big nights. So that's it, guys. Thanks a lot. I'm going to stop the live in 15 seconds. Just a quick reminder, you can support me on Patreon. If you're interested in taking part in my live masterclass with me on Skype and learn everything I know about tactical analysis, you write me an email uh, at purthefood93 gmail.com. You can find everything in the description. So see you later. Hopefully, I'm going to make more live in the future. I don't know when, but I'll try to keep you updated and to stop being terrible with the setup. Sorry, the organization. See you guys. Cheers. Thank you very much.